You said in the Rose Garden, the day after the attack, it was an act of terror. It was not a spontaneous demonstration. Is that what you're saying?
Please proceed, Governor.
I want to make sure we get that for the record, because it took the president 14 days before he called the attack in Benghazi an act of terror.
Get the transcript.
He did, in fact, sir. So let me call it an act of terror.
Can you say that a little louder, Candy?
He did call it an act of terror. It did as well take 2 weeks or so for the whole idea of there being a riot out there about this tape to come out. You're correct about that.
The administration indicated that this was a reaction to a video and was a spontaneous reaction.
They did.
It took them a long time to say this was a terrorist act by a terrorist group, and to suggest, am I incorrect in that regard?
CNN's Candy Crowley given the role of moderator at this week's debate, but at that moment she seemed to step out of her moderator role and into a self-appointed on-the-spot fact-checker position. Her decision to do that earned a good amount of negative criticism, but CNN stood by her. An internal memo obtained by TMZ reads, "Let's start with a big round of applause for Candy Crowley for a superb job under the most difficult circumstances imaginable. The reviews on Candy's performance have been overwhelmingly positive, but Romney supporters are going after her on 2 points. No doubt because their man did not have as good a night as he had in Denver. On the legitimacy of Candy fact-checking Romney on Obama's Rose Garden statement, it should be stressed that she was just stating a point of fact. Obama did talk about an act or acts of terror, no matter what you think he meant by that at the time." So, Judy, was this interaction on her part or an intervention on behalf of the president?
It was clearly an intervention, and it served the president's interests, whether or not that was her intent. And if you're going, I mean, Candy Crowley is not a foreign policy national security person. There's no reason why she would have been familiar with every word that the president said at the Rose Garden. She said she had read the transcript the night before. But the fact of the matter is it almost looked like an ambush. And lesson to Governor Romney: never launch an attack in the form of a question, because it leaves your opponent open to either say, please proceed, or cream you at the end.
Well, and there was that moment where he asked the president the question, you called it an act of terror, and the president didn't seem to have an answer. He could have answered him at that moment.
Well, yes. I mean, I think he did say refer to the transcript, but I am going to agree with Judy on this. I thought Candy Crowley did not act like a moderator at that point. I'm not going to say that she, did this to help out her side or whatever, but I think that for a moderator, she went over the line.
What about the accuracy or inaccuracy of what she had to say, Rick? Calling it, essentially buttressing the president's point of view.
Yeah, the liberals, and especially the liberal media, immediately jumped on the fact that, he did say the word terror at the Rose Garden. And so we're left to really fight about the difference of opinion and everything. But isn't that the whole point? Radical Islam needs unequivocal condemnation, and we need a president who is unequivocal in his condemnation. The fact that we're now arguing over the fact of whether or not he did say it or he did condemn it is really, I think, the problem, and the media missed it.
Here is the transcript, the official transcript of what the president had to say in the Rose Garden that day. When you get way down here, you finally see the words acts of terror, which is what the president alluded to.
Right. That transcript obviously is a kind of an important document here, and the way Judy set it up earlier, almost makes you think, who can prove it, but that when President Obama said, Candy, get the transcript, as in, like, he knew she had the transcript. Now, it's just possible.
Voila.
Jim, you're a conspiratorial.
Voila, there's the transcript.
Exactly. Get the transcript. There it is, right in front of you, and knowing that on the narrow point of did Obama say act of terror? Yes. Did at the same time, though, and this is where Romney missed his chance, did he then Romney and President Obama, so why did you send Susan Rice out 4 days later to specifically say it wasn't terror, hidden every
and go to the UN and say 6 times that it was about a YouTube video at the UN of all places.
And that's where, as Dan Gaynor of the Media Research Center said, Candy Crowley gets first plays umpire and then joins Team Obama. That sums it up.
Jim is head of the conspiracy theory.
No, but look, if you shift the subject, as Rick said and as Jim is saying, and as even you agree, come on, that if you switch it from a question of semantic disagreement about what this is, as opposed to the real questions which will be asked on Monday, such as why was there such terrible security there? Why was there no backup response team? What was the intelligence? Why on 9/11 did you leave these people so exposed? This is what the American people want to know. And I think ultimately the American people are going to demand answers.
And Toby Herndon from the Daily Mail did the work that American journalists should have been doing. He interviewed the mother of Sean Smith, a woman named Pat Smith, and she said, listen, when Obama says it was just not optimal what happened in Libya, she says, this is Mrs. Smith talking, my son is not optimal right now, he's dead. That's the kind of, going back to what Rick and Judy are saying, the kind of emotion and the reality of this, that stepping back from wordplay and transcript ambushing, who's actually focusing on what happened?
Well, and there was all this talk before the debate as to whether or not Candy Crowley would be allowed to ask follow-up questions, whether she would, play that role, but nobody talked about her being a fact checker.
Right, exactly. She always said from the beginning that she never signed an agreement agreeing to the rules that the two parties had agreed to.
But that's what the media's job is.
Exactly.
Right? They're supposed to be there to jump in and fact check. I mean, when the president says, I said to White House staff, immediately when I heard this, to increase the staff in Libya and around the world, that clearly wasn't done. CNN found the diary. There wasn't any increased security officials there. And the simple fact is the New York Times on Friday interviewed the guy who is a ringleader for this Libya attack in Benghazi, sipping mango at a restaurant hotel.
Well, he says he wasn't a ringleader of the attack, that he just happened to be there.
Right, but are we going after, where's the press saying, where is this guy? Are we going after him? Where is the media?
Also, why are we hearing this from President Obama? Why are we hearing the first explanation, supposedly, of what happened, and it wasn't an explanation of what happened, on Jon Stewart?
Right.
What about a conversation with the people, the media, the reporters who've been following him?
We're going to hear that conversation on Monday night in Florida, and I think he will explain himself.
He's going to have
thanks to the White House press corps.
Exactly, because he can't run away from the White House press corps anymore.
The White House press corps, there has been one briefing, really, or two briefings in the White House. They've been traveling with the president, as they have been with Governor Romney. This is an election.
Enjoying Air Force One.
Headline from Noah Rothman at
Very
Media.
expensive.
Quote, Candy Crowley's debate moderation exemplifies why Americans do not trust the media, unquote.
In the meantime, Center for Media and Public Affairs at George Mason University says that Candy Crowley cut off Romney 23 times, cut off President Obama 15 times. The president also got about 4 minutes more in that last debate. So we report, you decide.